So thank you so much for everyone joining us with this webinar. I would like to begin my remark by thanking our head of the institution, our head of the family, principal, National PG College, Professor Devendra Kumar Singh, for the support. I say endless support for every task, whether for conducting any seminar, classes, examinations and all. Sir is always behind us for motivating us and giving us full support. Thank you so much, sir. Sir is not here. Now, we will going further. We are currently living in the age of advanced digital technology. This can most aptly be described as the cyber and digital information age. So before inviting our today's expert to speak on artificial intelligence and cyber security, Dr. Puneet Mishra, Assistant Professor, Department of Computer Science, University of Lucknow, is very dynamic academician. He always engaged himself in various kinds of activities, whether it is academic related or whether it is socially. Sir has published research papers in various reputed journals, conferences, seminars. Sir has delivered talks as an expert in more than 25 conferences and seminars, engaged in several committees and providing services to the university since 2005. Now, I would like to invite Dr. Puneet Mishra, sir, to deliver a lecture on artificial intelligence. Sir.
Am I audible?
Yeah, sir, you are audible.
Okay, thank you. Thanks a lot, Dr. Amitabha, for giving a nice introduction about me. Just a minute. I'm sharing my PowerPoint.
Is it visible, sir?
Visible?
Sir.
Okay.
Visible.
Slide. So, thanks, Amitabha, for a very nice introduction. And though I have narrowed the topic a little bit, I'm just now, as per your suggestion, I'm not talking about machine learning and cybersecurity. But before going to the topic itself, first we have to understand about what does this word cyber means, how cybersecurities are affected, and then what are the methods used nowadays through machine learning or various machine learning techniques where they are used in cybersecurities. So for a common man, if I talk about artificial intelligence is nothing but it is made up of two words. So the first word is artificial and the second one is intelligence. Means artificial means a copy of something natural. And that is called as artificial, and intelligence means made the ability to gain and apply knowledge and skills. So I'm going to my next slide. This is so life moves online. So we all understand that nowadays everything we are getting online. If I talk about my earlier days of studentship, when I was just a student of graduation and or high school intermediate class, there were no things available internet, and even we don't know about much about internet. But during our this life cycle, we got to know that all aspects of human existence are now moving on cyberspace, including the way we work, the way we play, the way we educate, or we get education, the way we do politics, the way we do crime and conflict. There are everything which is human related. It is on basically cyberspace. So digitalization has impacted everything, even our personal lives. The first gadget we start in the morning is our mobile phones or laptops, and the last gadget we end up with our day is either mobile phone or a smart laptop or something device. There are wearable devices, there are chips in between. From that data is collected everywhere. So the more emphasis of governments is to adopt smart concepts, and not only for the making life human easier, but management of things like management of energy, water, transportation, waste, surveillance, and security, etc. So there are n aspects. So, but before moving ahead to our presentation, I basically show this slide, which is basically a message for you all our students. We started with ape. Um, in the process of evolution, we became humans, and later on, with gadgets like computers and laptops, we are into the making of ape again. So no human values are now with us. So please take care. The devices are just for use. These should not be incorporated in your daily lives. That is the first message that I want to convey. Since and this is a common picture which you can go onto internet, and you can find there are n number of things regarding hacking, cracking. You might have gone through different aspects, but the uh, term I'm willing to talk about is cyber, which is the most fascinated word of the century. Cyber, cyberspace, cyber crime, cyber word, cyber threat. So from where this all came, and what does this cyber word means? So first of all, I'll go into the historical evolution of this major aspect of cyber word. So when we talk about cyber, the word cyber is generally believed to be originated from a Greek verb which is called as kybero. That means to steer, to guide, to control. And at the end of the year 1940, Norbert Wiener, he was an American mathematician, began to use the word cybernetics to describe computerized control system. So according to him, the cybernetics basically deals with sciences that address the control of machines and living organism through communication and feedbacks. So there's a communication between human beings and the machines, along with certain control parts that is considered to be the part of cybernetics. So, pursuant to this cybernetic paradigm, information sharing and manipulation are used in controlling biological, physical, and chemical systems. So, cybernetics only applies to machines like systems in which the functioning of the system and the end results can be mathematically modeled and determined, or at the least predicted. So, around 1940, this was described. So we can consider now cybernetics as a closed system exchanging neither energy nor matter with its environment. Earlier, these things were very important, energy and matter. So now this system, whole system in which cyber is there, no conservation of energy is required, or no conservation of matter is required. Just only you are linking with a mechanism of communication and feedbacks. In the slide, I have written one quote: "The future is already here. It is just unevenly distributed." after 1940, in 1980 around, there was a writer, his name was William Gibson. He has wrote a novel called as Neuromancer. William Gibson was a science fiction novelist, and he coined the term cyberspace in his novel. Now, if you go onto internet and type for this Neuromancer, you can find an 80-page novel. Yeah.
सर स्लाइड आपकी विजिबल नहीं है, एक लोगों का मैसेज आया है अभी. इस स्लाइड इज विजिबल. चैट बॉक्स में आप बताएं स्लाइड विजिबल है. आयुषी. यस यस सर, विजिबल है सर. प्लीज. ओके ओके सर.
So in 1984, William Gibson has made this novel. You can go and find out on internet. So science fiction literature and movies portray the William Gibson model of cyberspace, like you might have gone through Matrix 1, 2, 3, 4, and it can be seen as a global computerized information network in which the data are coded in a three-dimensional multicolored form. So what users can do? Users can enter into cyberspace via computer interface, whereafter they can fly through cyberspace as avatar or explore urban areas by entering the buildings depicted by the data, as we do in various games. So cyber is a concept, and there are certain conceptual model about cyberspace. But there's another term which has impacted our lives: data. We all are fond of data nowadays. We researcher, we students, we as a community member, any sort of community that is. And I'm quoting one quote from Arthur Conan Doyle. He said, "Data, data, data." He cried impatiently, "I can't make bricks without clay." So that is the back end behind everything. Whether it's a cyber word, if you want to communicate, data is required. So for any sort of prediction, for any sort of future giving, or for any sort of things, we require this data. Now again, continuing back to a cyber word, there are two aspects. There's one term which is called as let the data speak. If you have data and if you can analyze it, data can speak. But suppose if you have a big data, the concept of data came into picture. After that, big data came. In big data, it was told that it is a large, huge chunk of data from which certain information can be analyzed. So let the data speak is now changed to we don't know what we don't know. That means data altogether speaks something, but whatever hidden facts and truths are to be taken from that data is basically the programmers or the data scientists or the machine learning specialists, they do. So we require certain intelligent data discovery processes and exploratory analysis, and we have to leave that part of data which is not favorable for us, or which is not which does not have any consequences on the result set. So these two terms are very important. I'm going back to cyber world. So when conceptual model, this conceptual model of data cyber as a concept was given by Q Sisto in 2010, year 2010. He said that the cyber consists of the first thing which is called a cyber word. Then cyber word means the presence of human post-modern existence on Earth. Then he coined another term which is called a cyberspace. Now, this cyberspace means a dynamic artificial state formed by bits. Then he told about cyber domain. He defined cyber domain as a precisely delineated domain controlled by somebody. Then he framed a term called as cyber ecosystem, which constructed surroundings that provide the setting for human cyber activities and where the people, institution, and physical systems with whom they can interact. Then there's a concept of cyber culture came into picture. The entirety of mental and physical cyberspace related achievements of the community or of all of the humankind. So what happened after this? After this, cyber came word came into picture, and after this, various countries defined cyber according to their ways. Just like I'll give you one or two definition. Uh, um, that what is basically cyber security or cyber word different countries adopted as. First, I'll tell you about the Australian cyber security strategy. It defines cyberspace on the foundation of digital economy and the importance and benefits of ICT to the entire national economy. So they generally taken back systems with all IC technologies, and through which they use the concept of availability, integrity, and confidentiality of the system. Then I'll talk about another country's vision about cyberspace. Uh, According to Canadian cybersecurity strategy, the definition of cyberspace was given as cyberspace is the electronic world created by interconnected networks of information technology and the information on those networks. It is a global commons where more than 1.7 billion people are linked together to exchange ideas, services, and friendship. So there are n number of countries they adopted cybersecurity definitions according to themselves. Similarly, I'll talk about Finland's cybersecurity strategy. Finland cybersecurity strategy states that the cyber domains means an electronic information processing domain comprising of one or several information technology infrastructure. Representatives to the environment is the utilization of electronics and electromagnetic spectrum for the purpose of storing, processing, and transferring an information via telecommunication networks. So another definition by German cybersecurity strategy is cyberspace is the virtual space of all IT system linked at data levels on a global scale. The basis of cyberspace is the internet, which is taken as universal and publicly accessible connection and transport network, which can be complemented and further expanded by any number of additional data networks. So when this is all by all other countries. In this particular time, our government is also initiating thing related to the cyber world, changing means and ways how to implement those. Even yesterday, it was a budget session, and digital economy was preferred, digital arenas were incorporated. Those were the basic things. So, but there are certain misconceptions about data. What are these misconceptions? More data means higher accuracy. So people earlier thought if we have more data, we have more things or more analysis part is there. But that doesn't give you accuracy. The second misconception about data is if you want to do big data, you have to start big. No, you have to start from small. Data equals objectivity. It is never it can be never taken as the data. More data will give you more objectives, and your objectivities were defined. That is there. And the major misconception is your data will reveal you all the truth. No, if you have data, if data is for that purpose only, then it can give you truth. But many times we have enormous data, but it is of no use. So from here, I incorporated two terms. There's one term which is called as machine learning, and the another term which is cyber security. How to mingle those terms? So as I told earlier, that information technology has become crucial to our everyday life in indispensable infrastructure of our societies, and therefore is also a target of attacks by malicious uh, parties. So cybersecurity is one of the important field of research today because of these phenomena. The two uh, 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 machine learning and cyber security, sometimes competing fields of research. Cryptography, machine learning are the most important building block of cybersecurity. And as cryptography hides information by avoiding the possibility to extract any useful information pattern, while machine learning searches for the meaningful information patterns. So this is the place where these two can be clubbed. So the clubbing of this whole. My first questions to the audience is, if I ask you about machine learning, what will be your answer? So if you write in chat box, you can write down. Uh, but most often, if when I ask this question, people sometimes imagine a robot or something like the Terminator or something, this sort of thing, which is basically not machine learning. So what is machine learning? In reality, the machine learning is involved not only in robotics, but also in many other applications. You can also imagine something like a spam filter as being one of the first applications in machine learning, which helps improve the lives of millions of people. So I'm going to now first definition of machine learning. It is taken by Google. Google, when you Google machine learning word, it gives you a definition that machine learning is a type of artificial intelligence that provides computers with the ability to learn without being explicitly programmed. So earlier programming was the main part, but here you have to learn something, and based on that training, give you something. So machine learning focuses on the development of computer programs that can teach themselves to grow and change when exposed to new data. That means data is there. You have some past data sets and you have certain future data. Now, what you have to do, you have to have certain things from this past data, you analyze it. Now you have new data, you incorporate algorithms onto this new data to give you certain prediction or certain sort of analysis that can be done. So machine learning, basically, if I talk about, it is used for the development of software and algorithms that make future predictions based on real set of data. So machine learning is used in the field of data analytics for trends and insights of the data. Machine learning is used in the field of data analytics that make predictions based on trends and help for various decision-making processes. So now I'm moving to next slide. What is data analytics? So I came to another part where I'll talk about machine learning. But there's another term which I'm usually talking about is data analytics. So data analytics is nothing. It is a process of inspecting, cleansing, transforming, and modeling data with the goal of discovering useful information, suggesting conclusions, and supporting decision making. So now, since I'm talking about machine learning, I have certain queries. And if you think from the queries angle, you will have your own definition of machine learning. So suppose you have to write the filter program using machine learning methods. So what you have to do? You have to do certain steps. So in the beginning, what you have to take? You have to check out what spam emails look like. You might select the word or phrases they use spam in spam mails, like debit card, credit card, or free, and so on. And also from patterns that are used in sender names or in the body of the email. So this is the basic example where and how we apply machine learning things. The second thing, you have to then write an algorithm to detect the patterns that you have seen, and then the software would flag emails as spam if a certain number of those patterns are detected. So after doing this, what you have to do, you have to test the program and then redo the first step again and again until results are not good enough. So here you have certain parameters. First you fix the parameters, and after fixing those parameters, you made a program. Okay, you made a program for checking out spam mails, and because the program is not a software, it contains a very long list of rules that are difficult to maintain. But if you develop the same software using machine learning, you will be able to maintain it very properly. So there's another thing. A program that uses machine learning technique will automatically detect this change by the users, and it start to flag them without you manually telling it to. That means learning from the data itself. Suppose if some spam mails data now I have collected. Now there are certain other phrases which are used in this these spam mails. So the program should be so much intelligent that it should take those phrases and then those phrases should be deposited into your repository so that certain inferences can be taken out. So this is how machine learning basically work. So while talking of machine learning, there's another question arises. When should you use machine learning techniques? So machine learning techniques should be used there when you have a problem that requires many long lists of rules to find the solution. In this case, machine learning techniques can simplify your code and improve performance. The first thing. The second thing, if you have very complex problems for which there is no solution with a traditional approach, there machine learning techniques are used. And the third thing where machine learning is used is in non-stable environment. Non-stable environment means those environment which are not stable with data. Data changes are there. So machine learning software can adapt to new data. That these are the places where machine learning algorithms are used. Now there's another term which I'm talking about is cybersecurity. So cybersecurity is nothing but it is a body of technology, processes and practices designed to protect networks, computers, programs, and data from attacks, damage, or unauthorized access. So in computing context, security includes both cybersecurity and physical securities of the system. So I hope now you have a clear picture about what is machine learning, and the second thing, how machine learning is utilized. And now I'm coming to this term, which is cybersecurity. So all definition, when we amalgamate all these three terms, we get a new definitions which has the flavor of machine learning, data analytics, and cybersecurity. So machine learning has been quickly adopted in cybersecurity since it has a potential to automate the detection and prevention of attack, particularly for next generation antivirus products. And machine learning models in next generation antivirus have fundamental advantages compared to the traditional antivirus, including the higher likelihood of the identifying novel zero-day attack and targeted malware, and increased difficulty of evasion and continued efficacy during prolonged offline periods. So these are the basic terms which has now cleared our aim for this lecture. Now, how these things are related. So I have a diagram here in which I have taken three things: data, machine learning, and deep learning. So how we are using it. So AI basically is a broad concept. It inculcates machine learning as well as data science, as well as data mining, as well as machine learning. So it is a concept, a science of making things smart, or in other words, human tasks performed by uh, machines. AI basically, if we define AI, AI can be defined in various ways. AI is the study of how to make computers to do things at which at the moment peoples do better. This is one definition. If you go through various books, you'll have around hundreds of definition of AI. Um, uh, some processes or some activities humans can do better than uh, computers. Similarly, some few things which are computer at best. So whatever things computers can do numerical computations in a better way. Computers can do a large information storage. Computers can do repetitive information, which is not appreciately handled by human beings. But when we talk about people, people have certain other aspects. People have common sense knowledge. So from there are different definitions. Another definition I'm quoting is AI is the part of computer science concerned with designing intelligent computer system which exhibit the characteristics we associate with the intelligence in human behavior. So there are n number of aspects in which we have used this, and after this, another tentacle of machine learning came into picture. There are though various areas in which AI is used. Machine learning, one branch of AI. It is considered to be an approach of AI that uses a system that is capable of learning from experience, as we humans do. Similarly, another term came into picture of deep learning, which is a set of techniques for implementing machine learning that recognizes patterns of patterns, like in image recognition. So I'll now move to more into this machine learning process. What is basically machine learning and how it is used, and what sort of things we have to use here. So most of the tasks related to machine learning uh, can be are basically expressed in this slide: regression, classification, clustering, association rule learning, dimensionality reduction, and generative models. But when we talk about machine learning systems can be divided into categories like supervised, unsupervised, semi-supervised, and reinforcement learning. So these are types of machine learning systems that I'll discuss as soon as we move on to other things. When we talk about supervised and unsupervised learning, we can classify machine learning systems according to type and amount of human supervision during the training. Uh, uh, in our earlier years, childhood, our mother is the first trainer, and we learn from her in an unsupervised way. That means there are no tests, there are no examinations, but still we learn from. So unsupervised learning starts from there. And the basic difference between the supervised and unsupervised learning is, when we talk about supervised learning, this is a type of machine learning system in which the data that you feed into algorithm with the desired solution. And these are referred to as labels. So suppose if I have a diagram of 100 cats, so I have stored in a place which is our initial data. Now I have write a program by checking these 100 cats picture about various configuration of this. So what sort of properties these have? Then what will happen? I'm labeling it as a cat. Now what I'm supplying the program a picture of cat. Now it is going to mix up with all the cats and going to figure out whether this is a cat or a lion. So you can do so such type of things are there. We are referring through it with the help of labels. So supervised learning groups together a task of classification. Um, um, Basically, whatever new instance you take up with, it is compared with all the available pictures, and it basically gives you certain idea about what it is there. So another example I'm quoting is to predict the numeric value like the price of a flat given a set of features like location, number of rooms, facilities, which are called as predictors. And this type of task is called as regression. This is a statistical method through which we predict things in statistics. So there are n number of regression algorithms which are considered to be in supervised part like k-near neighbor, linear regression, neural network, support vector machines, logistic regression, and decision tree and random forest. Then I'm going to another part which is called as unsupervised learning. So I told you that what is regression? It is of the part of supervised learning, which is the task of predicting next value based on the previous values. Then there's unsupervised learning. There's in this type of machine learning system, the users like us can guess the data is unlabeled. So supervised learning example, suppose um, you have got many data on visitor using one of our algorithms for detecting groups with similar visitor. So it may find that 65% of your visitor are males who love watching movies in the evening, while 30% watch plays in the evening. In this case, by using clustering algorithm, it will divide every group into smaller subgroups. So there are certain important unsupervised algorithms like clustering, which includes k-means, clustering, hierarchical clustering, analysis, etc. There's another set of unsupervised algorithm which includes association rule learning, which includes ECLAT and a priori, and visualization and dimensional reduction includes the kernel PCA, T-distribution PCA, etc. So there are a number of unsupervised that clustering or classification comes into this part in which you visualization phase, you can have 2D picture visualization, 3D picture visualization. You can also extract some sort of clustering there and figure out what sort of thing is there. There's another sort of learning which we call it as a reinforcement learning, which is another type of machine learning systems in which an agent basically is derived from the term agency, like movie stars have agents to check out their dates and price fixing. Similarly, cricketers have. So agent is nothing but it is formed from the word agent, which describes something. So an agent in an AI system will observe the environment, perform, gives action, and then receives reward in return. With this type, the agent must learn by itself, um, and these sort of applications are used in various application like suppose you have a robot, fire fixing robot. um, its first work is to perceive from the environment whether fire is there or not. It selects action using certain policies. If the robot gets fire nearby. It is told to have an action, and after that it gets a reward or penalty. If it is correct, it gets a reward or it gets a penalty. So this is how a robotic environment based agent based robot basically learns from the environment. So this is called as reinforcement learning. And there's another sort of machine learning system in which the system can't learn incrementally. The system must obtain all the data needed, and that means it will require many resources and a huge amount of time. So it is done offline. So such type of learning is called as batch learning. So to work with this type of learning, the first thing to do is to train the system and then launch it without any learning. So, and there's another part which is called as online learning. Um, when we talk about online learning, this kind of learning is the opposite of batch learning. I mean to say that here the system can learn incrementally by providing the system with all the available data at various instances, in groups or individually, and then the system can learn on the fly. So these are different subclasses. Like I talked about association rule mining, dimensionality reduction, which is a task for searching common and the most important feature in multiple examples. There's another term which is called as generative models, which is a task of creating something based on previous knowledge of distribution. So if you have any queries, you can query forward your query to ma'am. She can take your questions. So when we talk about machine learning, the main three things which I already told you: regression is there, classification was there, and association rule learning was there. Now,
Any queries? Anyone has a query can type in a chat box. एक बच्चे ने एक क्वेरी की थी यहाँ पे, देयर इज एनी ग्रुप, कोई ग्रुप नहीं है हमारा. आरुष अग्रवाल.
but we can have a group afterwards.
Okay.
So we can have so that students can interact with me.
Yes, sir. Definitely, sir.
So there are three dimensions in physical scale: why, what, and how. So these are the basic keywords which frame all the peculiarities of security aspects in cyberspace. And all the security tasks can be divided into 5 categories. The first one is predicting the security. Predicting means predicting the problem first. Then the second one is prevention, detection, response, and monitoring. So all these 5 aspects of security are to be taken care of in cyber security. So for handling the second dimension, which is a technical layer, an answer to what it gives, it is basically network traffic analysis and intrusion detection, endpoints, that is anti-malware, application, WF, and database firewalls can do the needful. Then users, and finally processes like anti-fraud activities should be defined. So this is at the technical level. So this answers what. But the third dimension is a question of how. That means how to check the security of a particular area. So whether it is in transit time or in real time, at rest or historically. So these are to be answered there. So where machine learning is used. So before going into this, I'm again going to the aspect of cyber security, since I have to collaborate. So if I talk about cyber world, there are 5 basic layers. One is called as cognitive layer. The second one is called as service layer. The third one is called as semantic layer. The fourth one is called syntactic layer, and the fifth one is called as physical layer. Physical layer is where network devices, switches, routers are connected, wired and wireless connections are there. So all those layers are basically uh, important for us while maintaining cybersecurity. Similarly, when we talk about syntactic layer, a system control and management programs and features are required. Network protocols, error correction, handshaking signals, these are to be checked. Similarly, in semantic layer, we have information and data sets in the servers and computers. Different user administrated functions such as printer protocol, etc., has to be monitored here. Then service layer, the public and commercial services which are available to us, like operational bank related media, YouTube, and the public services. Similarly, the last layer is cognitive layer, which in which users information aware, which is a user information awareness environment in which the user particular takes care of his contextual understanding of information. So these 5 layers are required. So cyber is more than the internet. It includes not only hardware, software, data, and information, but also people and social interaction within networks and the whole infrastructure. While talking about cybersecurity, what are basically uh, what are the basic parameters which change the cyber world? So I've told you earlier that time, data, network, and intelligence have driven change in cyber world. Just think that in a single minute on the web, around more than 20, 2,50,000 photos are shared on Instagram, just only on Instagram. So around, if we talk about around more than 100,000 dollars sales on Amazon. And there are 3 days worth of video is uploaded to YouTube. So Google performs around 2 million searches each minute. 72 hours of worth video is uploaded to YouTube within a space of 60 seconds. And 70 new domains are registered and 571 new websites are created within a minute online. At the same time, there are 1.8, more than 1.8 million likes on Facebook. So this was the data, enormous data. And this enormous data is basically is useful for us, but sometimes it is creating hindrances. Since you have when we talk about older set of examples, in this is of October 2010, Google CEO at that time was Eric Schmidt. He said that there was 5 exabyte of information created between the dawn of civilization through 2003. But that much information is now created every 2 days, and the pace is increasing. So think of the thing that we are our all gadgets are there just to record our data sets every time. Nowadays we have chips which are to be applied onto our bodies to check our health parameters, which monitor our health during entire daytime. And so the utilization of information technology has grown exponentially, and it has become an inseparable element in the life of communities and individuals alike. So where machine learning is utilized is again a question, since it can be utilized for the betterment of our this data sets also. So there are certain cyber threats. When we talk about cyber threats, when there are cyber threats, then we have the concept of security. So threats in society are the vital functions that may directly or indirectly target national systems or citizens
सर
from within.
टाइम भी ध्यान रखिएगा थोड़ा.
From within or outside the national borders. So the threat landscape is a list of threats containing information about. So there are physical threats like natural disasters, environmental disasters, and there were economic threats like deep national depression, deep global depression, etc. So I'm not going into much details of this since time is not allowing me. So I'm again focusing to the machine learning where it is used for network protection, endpoint protection. So we can have a set of regression analysis to predict the network packet parameters and to check which are the fraud related parameter packets and which are normal ones. Similarly, we can do classification to identify different classes of network attacks such as scanning or spoofing. This can be done through good analysis of data through machine learning techniques. Similarly, we can do clustering for forensic analysis. Uh, uh, if we talk about machine learning for endpoint protection can be used regression to predict the next system call for executable processes and compare it with real ones. We can use classification to divide programs into categories like malware, spyware, or ransomware. For even clustering can be utilized for malware protection on secure email gateways to separate legal file attachments from outliers, etc. Then we can use machine learning for application security. So to remind you, application security can differ. There are web applications, database application, ERP systems, SaaS application, microservices, and every aspect requires a different set of security since requirement is different. So it is an impossible thing to build a universal ML model to deal with all threats. So what we have to do, we have to check out what algorithm will suit our applications, and accordingly we can have our machine learning algorithm there. Similarly, machine learning algorithm can be applied into regression to detect anomalies in HTTP requests. Similarly, for classification to detect known types of attacks like injections. You have heard about this SQL injection that is done in website to hackers basically use these. Similarly, clustering use user activity to detect DDoS attack and mass exploitation. It can be used for process behavior as well, regression to predict the next user action and detect outliers such as card frauds. Nowadays, a lot of analysis or machine learning algorithms are used into this scenario for checking out classification to detect known types of frauds. This we can do. Similarly, clustering to compare business processes and detect outliers. So another area is deep learning. Deep learning can also be used into intrusion detection and prevention systems dealing with malware and spam and social engineering detection. Similarly, it can be used for network traffic analysis and user behavior analytics. So if you have any queries, you are welcome. I hope this might have given you an insight about how machine learning can be used in this cybersecurity scenario. Over to ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Any queries from students? You can type in a chat box. Okay. Thank you, sir. Cybercrime and privacy breach in India has been growing exponentially every few months. In this scenario, it is important for every user to understand the risk associated with transactions in cyberspace, implication of data leaks, and privacy breaches through social media and email transactions. Sir, I believe and I am very confident that whatever you delivered today's seminar would play the role of a catalyst in this extremely important domain of artificial intelligence and cyber security. Today's seminar is one of the series of programs focused on Cyber Jagrukta Divas. I am hopeful that today's webinar help us to understand the basics of cyber security in our daily digital behavior. Now, I would like to stop here and request to Mr. Vinay Yadav to give vote of thanks so that we will officially end the program with vote of thanks. Vinay sir, over to you. I think Vinay sir ka mic is not working, so that, okay, no problem. Okay, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to Dr. Puneet Mishra sir for giving his valuable time and imparting this knowledge. I would also like to thank our faculty members who joined and always support such kind of webinars. At the end, I would like to express my gratitude to all of you once again for your participation. It has been a pleasure to have you with us. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir. आपकी
Thank you.
तबीयत खराब होने की वजह से भी आपने हमें टाइम दिया. Thank you so much, sir, and get well soon.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.